Alaman yun.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever or whatever you may be. This is the Overnight. I am DM Foss, and tonight we've got Gun Websites, G-Webs. How's it going?
Good, fairly middling. Thanks for joining, or thanks for having us join.
And Gizzard Gary. How you doing, Gizzard?
Hello. Happy Father's Day for all those in the time zones that have already passed into it.
And American Hillbilly Up. How you doing?
Doing great, buddy. Oh man, just doing awesome. And again, the repeat, Gary. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there.
Let me get the banner going here. So at the bottom of the screen, there's an email address on tacticalfoss@gmail.com and a link for the Discord server. The Gilded server is going to go away sometime between now and July 15th. That's when they're going to require everybody to have Roblox accounts. So we went back to Discord, and there's a link. So if you are a part of the Gilded server, hopefully you will come back and join us on the Discord server now.
Well, I was all excited at first because I thought it said you had to have a robot account, but then I read it again and it said Roblox. So
yeah.
Is that anything like a roadblock? Kind of sounds like.
It's what it's turned into.
Mm-hmm.
And
I thought it was June the 15th. Did they change it?
No, it was always July.
Really?
Yep. And so it's
They're so eager to get off of the Discord that, or not off of the Gilded.
Yeah. But it's a place to hang out, chit chat, and you can get a hold of me there and get a hold of some of these other guys that come on the panel. Not everybody is over back on the Discord. But they're so there's also a link in the description for the Discord server. And so far, let's see who was out there. Vulcan Rumble was out there, and Ron Wayne, the Saint, Gizzard Gary, Hillbilly Up, and G Webs. So for the Wednesday night mouse party, we're closing in on the 100 episodes. So I think we'll do a giveaway for that.
Awesome.
Once that hits 100, I still have another one of the survival knives that X Adam 1 sent to me.
Nice.
So we'll give away that. I think we'll give away. Let's back over there. A survival hatchet thing, which is kind of cool. And then probably some other stuff there. I'm thinking we'll do maybe give away 2 packs during the chat and then do a third for everybody who watches in replay. Excuse me.
Nice.
Just so, because most people watch this in replay because somebody picked a god awful stupid hour to have a chat. So we've got a couple weeks before that comes up, so we'll get the details more ironed out as we get closer. And that also will kind of help celebrate. We I crossed the 2,000 subscriber. Somehow got over 2,000 subscribers.
Awesome, buddy.
Yay!
So this is a thank you for everybody. And yeah, I think that's all the administrative stuff we needed to handle. Yesterday's pomade. It's out there. Somehow is watching on replay. He's a time traveler.
Maybe he's behind on the stream a little bit.
That could be.
Let me replay. Also, I want to congratulate you on the views.
Thank you.
1.5, wasn't it?
Yeah. 1.5 million views.
Awesome. That is
it's
great.
Got me beat, that's for sure.
Kind of crazy. But I'm very appreciative for anybody that has watched anything that I put out. Uh-oh. It just got small in here. Maybe Wayne is out there. Oh, G-Webs, I watched The Primitives.
Yeah, your verdict?
It was probably one of the worst movies I have ever seen.
Oh, so you didn't like it?
Oh, God, no. The bad writing helped accentuate the bad acting.
I think they were deliberately trying to make it like a 1980s show.
Oh, I don't. I think it was just low budget, and that's what they could afford. And I almost, I hate to I don't mean to badmouth someone who's not a good actor. If they're trying, they're just not good. It's not their fault. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot wrong. There's a lot of problems with that. The main character, the main good guy, what is his name, like William or something? Anytime anybody addressed him, they used his name, even if they're standing right next to him.
Yeah, that's the point. That was part of it.
Yeah, no, it did not seem intentional to me. It wasn't like Attack of the Tomatoes 2, where they made fun of themselves. You could tell everybody's in on the joke.
It was definitely a long thing. But yeah, I hear you. It was definitely a flavor that if you didn't like it, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, even the stop motion animation had problems. like they're escaping, and one of the lizard guys has a spear that's standing next to him. So you can see that he's going to grab the spear and then go fight. But instead of just grabbing the spear, he looks at the spear, looks it all the way up and down, thinks about it, and then grabs the spear. He should have, he's just going to grab the spear and go fight. Yeah, I really did not care for it.
So was it a movie you went ahead and watched all the way through?
I did. I watched all of it. That was, the plot made no sense at all. Was not for me.
I watched a movie. It had been back in the 80s, so it was probably made in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. But it was called Slow Bullet, I'm pretty sure. And it was about a Vietnam vet. Necklace on, and he had this bullet, on the necklace. And he was the only one in the movie, actually. So him like sitting in his basement and like drinking and like having flashbacks and all this. And finally at the end, like he takes the bullet off his necklace and puts it in his gun and holds it up towards his head, and then the movie ends. And like you sat through, sat through the entire movie thinking, okay, this is going to get better, and it never did. So I've watched some of those movies, and I'm one that like I have hope that it's going to get better, regardless if it ever does or not.
Garage guys out there, good evening. And I'm not bashing UG Webs. I really, really did not like that movie. It's kind of like ice cream. Some flavors you don't like. I didn't like this flavor. I just listened to an audiobook, Something Wicked This Way Come, but it's by Ray Bradbury, and there was a 83 movie adaptation of the book, which I'm probably go back and watch the movie, and they're both good. The book is a little bit pedantic in places. There's a lot of dialogue that goes on, and the movie pares that down really well, and then adds some stuff that's not in the book. But it's another one of those situations where I liked both, and they're different. So it was good. There, a theme of, one thing that I realized listening to it, that the dad is 54 years old. And apparently the book came out in 63, but being 54 in 1963 is much different than being 54 today, because the way he talked and the way everybody kind of talked about him was, like he's an old fogey at 54 years old,
Yeah. There was you don't remember the movie? Did you watch the movie?
I did. I liked the movie.
I thought that was kind of the point, was that the kid's dad was so old that he wasn't used, he was so old or whatever, that he wasn't a normal dad, or he didn't have the same relationship with his dad or whatever, and that was part of the movie.
Yeah, that he was. I kind of identified with him because I was a little older. I was in my 30s when I had my kid. But I'm his age, and I'm not decrepit like he's kind of portrayed in the book. Or I don't know if they say his age in the movie. I can't remember.
They allude to it. I remember that being a plot point, and they don't say
Yeah.
his number, maybe, or if they did, But I'm just saying that was just a different time. People worked and they wore themselves out faster than nowadays, where we just sit around typing and sitting around going to doctors all the time.
Yeah.
So you probably just wear yourself out faster in the old days. We only lived,
But I thought,
back at one point. I mean, 30 was an old man at one point.
yeah. But I really liked the movie. Yeah, I saw the movie first, and then just this is the first time having listened to the book, and I liked them both. And there's, like I said, there's differences between the movie and the book. They pare it down. The movie pares down the book really well, I think, and then adds in some plot points, which really adds to the story. I think the special effects are a little dated, and it's kind of like Empire Strikes Back, like with the snow speeders, where you can see through the dash of the snow speeders, and you don't notice it when it first came out, but I don't know if it's just as the tapes wear out, it becomes more visible. But there's stuff in the movie that's kind of like that, where
I think for a while there, when they were doing like layers of video, instead of computers, like that worked on a giant screen, but on a small screen when they dubbed it, that's when you started to see all that stuff. I think those artifacts are from watching the movie on a VHS instead of movie theater.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that.
A lot of movies do that.
But I'd still recommend it, both, either the movie or and the movie has Jonathan Pryce as the bad guy and Jason Robards as the father. So really good actors in the movie.
I remember liking it. It wasn't my favorite movie or nothing, but it was on HBO. So it was probably on with something else that sucked really bad, or some old movie or something. And I remember watching it like a million times. And so some movies you can watch twice and get sick of them. This one I watched a bunch of times.
In the movie, they add in a little more monkey's paw type story that isn't in the book, but I don't think it detracts from the story at all. But
Gizzard, you ever seen that movie?
No.
It's about Kansas or something, isn't it? It's some kind of plain.
Yeah, kind of Midwestern place.
I think it came out in the 80s.
Yeah, it was 1980. Well, the book is 63 and the movie is 83.
What's the name of it again?
Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Mm-mm.
It's like a kid living on, I think it's Kansas or someplace, somewhere where he lives on a farm in the middle of nowhere kind of thing, like just living on a farm.
Small town.
And then they bring a carnival into town. It's about the carnival coming into town, all the weird stuff that happens. Little kids. It's the kid isn't it the kid from the movie where he shoots his eye out, kid?
I don't think it's Billingsley.
Oh, okay. But it's that era. It's whenever that movie came out about Christmas Story. It's like that era when it's like about a little kid going to the carnival. Goes up a tree or something. I guess I can't remember it really well.
Yeah, there is a part like that. I've seen the movie a bunch of times, but I only remember kind of the main points of it. In the book, the kids they talk about hijinks like throwing a dead cat down people's chimneys.
It's based in Illinois, Greentown, Illinois.
Okay.
But for tonight, I thought I didn't really have a good solid topic, which I probably shouldn't admit because then people might tune out. But something I've thought about off and on for quite a while, kind of years, goes back to Midnight Ranges chats and stuff where the topic had come up, but kind of the guns that are made up to look like toys, and kind of vice versa, toy guns that look real. And I'm not calling for banning anything. This is just a kind of a discussion. When I was before I was a dad, I was all in on either. You know, as a kid, you like realistic looking toy guns and stuff, and then guns like the here, let me call up the picture of the Block 9, which there it is. Which was a real thing, but they got Culper Precision got a cease and desist from Legos, so they quit making it.
Really?
Yeah. This was probably a couple of years ago when it all kind of came out. But before I was the dad, and then after becoming a dad, my views kind of changed where I'm not, you know, I don't really like them. And when, like, for toy guns that look realistic, when I was thinking about getting my son a BB gun, I really worried about, you know, the BB guns looking too real. Kind of like these ones. You know, these are airsoft and BB guns.
Yeah.
And so what's your guys' opinion? Do you have an opinion, or, you know, is it just worrying about nothing?
Well, the fact that they exist means it is worrying about nothing. But my issue when they first started making those stupid ass things, the guns that look like toys, are like the Nintendo paint job they like doing.
Yeah.
To make it look like a Nintendo Zapper. Obviously, I don't like the NFA. However, an AOW is a gun that doesn't look like a gun, and you could, I've seen some Still and Husqvarna paint jobs, and, you know, like Milwaukee paint jobs that make them look like other guns, like, you know, drills and shit. So you start putting like enough crap on, like accessories, vert grips, and horizontal grips. You know, like that one shotgun, Mossberg shotgun, has like a chainsaw looking grip. Stupid looking. You start putting that crap on and then painting it up, then to me that just seemed like people, especially back in the day when they first started doing it online, it seemed like people trying to create a situation that they would get either arrested or something so that they could challenge the NFA. But then it quickly turned into not, you know, because at first the first one of those was a Nintendo Zapper, I think, or maybe it was a Milwaukee or what's the yellow?
A DeWalt.
DeWalt, yeah. Somebody made a DeWalt one, and anyway, the first times I was like, oh, okay, somebody's going to try taking this up and making it an AOW case, and no one will like it because everyone will not understand it. So I thought it was just a dumb case to make, but then I figured out that it's just people that know how to do Duracoat or whatever, and they're trying to not give a shit. So then I figured it would become an issue. It would be forced to become an issue by some anti having a fit, and for some reason that hasn't happened. But I think that's the worst case scenario, because obviously any concern that a child is going to pick it up can't exist. It's not reality, because they've been around for years and years, like a decade or more. So it's not the case. I mean, a complete reckless, like criminal negligence situation, yes, it could happen. But in reality, people have kept track of these things and not left them laying around for children. So that's not an issue. So that's just a concern as a parent or as an adult because you understand that kids just don't know stuff yet. But that being said, they've existed for a long time, and a ton of people do it. Anybody who can Duracoat and has the interest to do it can do it. So there must be dozens, if not hundreds, of these guns around, and nothing has happened about them.
Yeah.
And if something even kind of happened, the antis would jump on it. Like it's just sitting there ripe for the antis to hate on it, and they barely do. Like I guess technically they have acknowledged them, but they've never pursued them. So to me, it just seems like a dumb thing to do because one, I don't play video games, and I don't think the Lego one is cool looking. It looks stupid. And like it would have been cooler if they made a gun look like a actual Lego gun. Instead, they just put Lego shit, like a Lego motif on a gun. And that kind of makes fun because of Glock and Block, but barely. Like it's just not funny. So it's a lot of work to make a not funny joke. And then it's just putting something out there that's essentially not baiting the antis. Like I say, I'm really sure at first, my thoughts were at first that people were trying to bait the antis into having a fight and trying to challenge the NFA. But nobody's that altruistic. They're just doing it because they like the look and they don't give a shit about the consequences. So I think it's just a bad image, and then it's stupid looking. And what's the practical point? Like none. It just shows that you know how to Duracoat. You could do that with a cooler tiger stripe or make a snake pattern. That's harder. It's cooler looking. So I think there's other things you could do to make it, to show your ability to detail a gun. Going the other way, BB guns that look like guns, hell yeah. Like I like everything about realistic looking BB guns, and I have no fear. I lived my entire life running around the streets with guns that look just like guns. I think that's another perception that it might be reckless or it might be dangerous, but I just don't see. Just because there's examples of lightning striking doesn't mean we all have to constantly be worrying about lightning striking. I don't think every cop is out there looking to take out kids that are running around with BB guns. Cops played with BB guns. They know what BB guns look like. People that don't know what BB guns look like don't know what BB guns look like, and they're the ones that are concerned about this, in my opinion. Like they're the ones that would never give a BB gun to a kid, and their kid probably couldn't have a BB gun because they've never given their kid any responsibility. But everybody I knew that got their BB guns, it was when they showed that they had responsibility to have a BB gun. And sure, a couple of us did stupid shit with our BB guns, but then we learned by having them taken away or broken or whatever. And then we gain that responsibility back again. It's part of being an adult, just like our cars. Are we not going to give cars to kids because they're dangerous? Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, it's a very logical argument. And it's, like when I was a kid, I had, let's see, I've got a picture.
I had that long Crossman that you pump. That's a pistol, and it looks like a gun, but it also doesn't look like any real gun. That one bothered. Oh my goodness, you had one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
And I ended up, I don't remember. It was not this much because I paid for it myself when I was high school.
Motorized squirt gun one, but not this mini Uzi one. That's airsoft or something.
It was CO2 powered BB gun.
Shit. Oh, that'd be awesome. I didn't even know that one existed. I would have definitely owned that. That's one of my favorite guns. In fact, I would buy that one today. How much is it?
100. This one's 165.
Yeah, unless it's on Amazon, I'm not paying 165 for it. Yeah, I had the Uzi squirt gun, that came out for a minute there. That thing was amazing. And again, like, and people, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nobody thinks a kid's running around with a freaking Uzi. Only an idiot thinks a kid is running around with a Uzi. That's like seeing a kid with a laser gun and going, oh no, the kid got a laser gun from an alien or something. Like, it's just fantasy to think that a kid's running around with an actual gun. Maybe if it looked like a 1911 or something, you could think that kid found it or something, but the kid doesn't have the strength to carry around a piece of metal that big. I don't know. I'm not a parent, so I guess I have less skin in the game. So I think it's fantasy.
And Larry Knopf is out there, and G23. Good evening. Good evening. And like I said, it before I had kids, I viewed it differently than after having kids, and it's more of almost like a gut reaction. The things you worry about when you've got kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something that like I said, when I was thinking about getting my kid a BB gun, it's something that I started thinking about, which was when I was a kid, it's nothing you ever thought about.
No. What about a baby gun versus a wrist rocket? Which would you give a kid? Which is there one that you'd give a kid and one that you wouldn't?
Ooh, I would actually lean towards the BB gun, given the
I
BB
did
gun.
way more damage with a wrist rocket than I ever did with a BB gun to people and stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And we had wrist rockets with us constantly, way more than we had BB guns.
Look at them slingshots in here. But
Well, a slingshot's a slingshot. A wrist rocket has the surgical tubing and it has the metal
Yeah.
that goes to your wrist, so you can get you can shoot a quarter mile with a wrist rocket. A slingshot, you have to have wrist strength and you have to be able to know what you're doing. Wrist rocket's almost like on easy street,
yeah, we had those too. But yeah, I mean, you get pretty accurate. I mean, we shot squirrels with this slingshot before, and
Oh, heck yeah.
some homemade ones too. But I can see, your point. Because I was sitting here thinking about, well, my grandkids, I have a BB gun in there. It's a pistol that looks a lot like a Glock, and literally, it's just a single shot, and you literally pull the slide back to cock it. It's spring loaded, and it don't have. I mean, it never from the factory. It never had a red or orange tip on it or nothing. So it would be very hard, and it is made out of pot metal. It's fairly heavy.
Yeah, the Daisy
And-
one.
Huh?
That Daisy one that's been around for a long time, where you cock it each time. You could put darts in
Yeah.
it, like the barrel tips up. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I was thinking, man, I would want my, one of my young grandkids of that, because it could be mistaken for a real pistol. I mean, it honestly could. Even if you grabbed a hold of it, I mean, it's got some weight to it and stuff. I mean, it don't shoot very far. I mean, you literally can watch the BB, with your own eye. You go out there and arch and go down. But yeah, I can see it. I see where it could be a concern. And I seen a video the other day about some younger kids. There's some game they're playing where they go around the neighborhood or something with a airsoft gun and take some pictures of themselves or something. And a few of them's been arrested because it got brought up on a home security camera, and the kids got looks like a pistol in their hand, and or maybe hanging out of their coat pocket or whatever. And so I definitely can see the concern, but in a way, like G-Webs, when you're a kid or younger, you think it's really cool for them to actually look like a gun. And so, I don't know. They just buy them a Daisy Red Ryder.
There you go.
Lever action.
That's why my granddad had one of those, and it was. I shot it when I was little, and I was very disappointed at how hard it was to pump with that loop. Because when you're a kid, you just imagine it being like you see in the movies, just.
Yeah.
But since you're pumping it up, you can't put your hand in the loop because it takes so much force, it kind of hurts your hand. So you have to hold it from the outside of the loop to pump.
Yeah. You can't use the backside of your hand to cock it very easy. But Ron Wayne, I'm sure, probably has some out there that's been worked on that he can backhand that lever.
Do the spin.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all I had. So everybody have a good. What else do we want to talk about? Like I said, I had a topic worked out when I was at work and kind of went through the whole discussion. It was planned out. Can't remember a damn thing about what I had thought up. The
legal thing or a mechanical thing or 2A thing or
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, I don't have a clue.
something that came up from reading or something that came up from like a situation at work or something that came up from
I know it was something. It was another one of the topics that, because there'll be like a few topics that I'll mull over, but can't figure out how to discuss the topic, and it was one of those, and I don't know where it went.
G23 is probably on the right track.
Was it a bracket? It was not a bracket.
Sure.
Yep. Unfortunately, my bracket there after the last chat, there was a scratch, and I'm not sure if it's a crack, underlying crack. So I need to send it out to have it ultrasound done and X-rayed and make sure there's not a foundational crack in the bracket.
You should take it to a bracketologist.
I don't know. There's only a bracketeer around here. There's not a bracketologist.
Bracketeer sounds like somebody who'd be on a boat somewhere with a flag with a Jolly Roger and stuff.
I wouldn't trust him either.
Nope.
Maybe you could find a Maytag repairman. They're sitting around doing nothing. Maybe you could look at it.
Ron Wayne said Dr. Brackett could take care of it.
Yes, it could.
Unfortunately, the doctor is out. So,
Well, it's Sunday. What do you expect?
Okay, so how many movies can you come up with that have Doctor in the title? I can only think of Dr. Detroit. Did Gizzard see
Dr. Strangelove?
Yeah, I was going to say, that was the first one.
Dr. Doolittle?
Dr. Detroit?
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Yeah, you said that, didn't you?
Gizzard, did you see Dr. Detroit?
No.
Hillbilly, you seen Dr. Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
It was on HBO a million times, so I think a lot of us seen it on HBO.
Oh, Doctor
Is
Who's
Doctor
out there.
Who a movie?
Well, it's not Doctor Who's not really a movie.
That might be a movie, though. Made for TV movie or something. Dr. Zhivago.
Dr. Zhivago.
It's probably easy one to Google.
We got at least 4. Okay.
Dr. No.
Everybody, yeah, I was going to say, everybody knows the James Bond one. Yeah.
Fiendish Plot of Dr. Fu Manchu.
Well, there you go.
The Peter Sellers movie.
And is that Pink Panther?
No.
It just has the guy from Pink Panther, so I clicked
Yeah.
together, probably.
Yeah, he plays both the bad guy and the good guy.
You could almost count Doc Hollywood.
I would count that one. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
There's a new Marvel movie. It's a
Doctor
superhero movie.
Strange.
Yep. And there might be two of them, really.
Let's see.
Bad thing about taking your bracket to Dr. Brackett, probably a nurse practitioner end up looking at it anyhow.
Hmm.
5,000 Fingers of Dr. T. Ron Wayne brings up. That's like the only, well, up until a point, it was the only live action Dr. Seuss.
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
The Abominable Dr. Phibes. Let's see. Carry On Doctor. That's the name of a movie.
Oh, no, that's a TV show. Dr. Kildare.
Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine. That sounds interesting.
I may have to watch that one.
We've talked about that before.
No, yeah?
Yeah, that one is Vincent Price, I think, and it's a ripoff of one of the other spy movies. It's like a comedy. It's like a what do they call it? It's like Weird Al Yankovic or something.
Yeah,
like
the
movie.
first one is a lot better than the second one.
Basically, his bad guys, like he's a bad guy, and his henchmen is girls in bikinis. And I think, is that the one where they got boobs that are machine guns? Like that one Michael Myers movie comes from one of those.
That would be so.
Yeah, I think they just exploded.
Oh, is that what it is? They're bombs. They're like girls that are bombs or something. So that's where the Michael Myers comes up with that. He didn't come up with that. He's just making fun of that movie. And that movie's making fun of James Bond or something, I think.
Ron Wayne says Rug Doctor. Wow.
I remember renting those.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably come up with more songs with Doctor than I could movies.
Well, then that's a sure way to get DJ in here.
I did a list in IMDb, and there's literally dozens
of doctors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you there's more songs with Doctor in them,
though. Doctor My Eyes.
Dr. Love. They call me Dr. Love.
Yeah.
Vanilla Gorilla said Dr. Is it Phoebes or Phoebes?
I called it Phibes. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced or not. Oh, Witch Doctor. Forgot that.
Yeah.
Dr. Feelgood. Yeah. If we forgot that, DJ would never forgive us.
Miss Bob Davalina said Dr. Teeth in the Electric Mayhem. That's the Muppet Band.
There's a movie out now about Jim Henson. You know, watch that. It's a documentary.
I know you've talked about it, and I think I've seen commercials maybe on the YouTubes for it.
I mean, I could take or leave Muppets. Like, I didn't really care that much. But once I watched that movie, I was like, all right, I guess I watched the shit out of the Muppets as a little kid. I just didn't realize it. And it was interesting to see his relationship with Sesame Street. Like, he casually just made all those characters, and then he participated in it, but he didn't have any passion for it other than, like, yeah, you know, make stuff for kids, great. But it's not like he was Mr. Rogers, like he was trying to make kid stuff for kids. He was trying to do stuff for adults, but kids is what he could make money on, and then he liked it. But it wasn't like a massive passion or nothing. It's kind of interesting. his passion was puppets, but he really liked like the Muppet Show and all the weird stuff he did after the Muppet Show. Because he did all those like Crystal and all those movies, and he did a lot of stuff.
My favorite Muppets characters was the Teal Man and the Theater Box.
What's it called? What's the Henson thing called?
Ugh. I think it might just be called Jim Henson or something. I don't know. It had to be something because I clicked on it. I don't know where it's from either. I'll have to go look. It's on the first page of this thing. Let me go look.
Anyway,
I haven't been any good movies, so I've been filtering my searches to be like science fiction with mystery. Like, so it has to have both of those characteristics, and then that'll give me like a bunch of weird movies.
Was it Jim Henson Idea Man?
Yeah, that's it. Because really it's about him and the ideas that he had nothing to do with the Muppets. Oh, what's this? Ultraman Rising. There's a new Ultraman cartoon. 2024. 117 minutes. It's a movie. It's a cartoon, though.
I've seen commercials for it.
It looks like there's a little cartoon penguin on his back, so it's like made for kids, maybe.
Oh yeah, it's on the Henson one. Looks like it's on Disney Plus, so I won't be watching it.
And then it looks like there's something called Enter the Clones of Bruce Lee, or Enter the Clones of Bruce. And Enter the Clones of Bruce Lee dives into the Bruce Lee exploitation craze, otherwise known as Bruceploitation. I never heard of that, but I guess I remember that.
You sent me a DVD of something about Bruce clones.
I thought that was an old movie. I haven't watched it either. I mean, I think I sent it to you all wrapped up, right? I just assumed that was some old movie from the 70s. Dang it. If that's a brand new movie, yeah, go watch it.
It might be something old because there was another one, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was.
I got that at a bin store, so it's completely random. I had like no setter setting. Just found it in a bin. I saw one. It was supposedly a tournament to find the replacement for Bruce Lee. But it was, I don't know if it was supposed to be a comedy, but it was pretty funny. Was not serious. But I don't remember the name of that. Well,
so it might
call me Bruce.
Yeah. But yeah, it's still sitting on the computer desk. I haven't watched it yet.
Well, do me a favor, because I don't know if I must have done a video. I wouldn't have sent it to you. I'm not crazy. I wouldn't have sent it to you without doing a video. Let me go look if I got it on video. Or I got a review of it.
But Vanilla Gorillas saying Statler and Waldorf, those were the two characters in the balcony.
You're looking for three
in the box.
It's a different cover. So this movie that I sent you is release date 2015. Bruce Lee has just died, and the BSI is swinging into action to salvage the situation. Added by the brilliant Professor Lucas, cells from the martial arts master body are removed and grown into 3 adult Bruce Lee clones.
Oh, man.
It's called The Clones of Bruce Lee. This movie I'm talking about that was from 2024 is called Enter the Clones of Bruce Lee. So obviously different movie.
Did you ever see the movie The Boys from Brazil?
Probably. It sounds familiar. Let me look for it.
It's the what was the Nazi doctor?
Yeah. It's about Nazis that go to South America and do something.
Yeah, and they clone Hitler.
Yeah.
But the kids, none of the kids have his personality.
Yeah, and it's really weird. And it's 1970s South America movie. It's really good. I like it. I think I like it. And it's also like super gruff, or whatever the word would be, like, hey, what are you doing? And then they get shot. Like, it's just like I don't know if it's bad acting or if it's just the style of the time, but there was not a lot of small talk. If I remember right. It was a lot of just action. He's wrong.
I think Ron Wayne's doing quotes from Airplane, which Vanilla Gorilla has the automatic pilot.
I remember liking Airplane way too much when it came out. Like, dang, that was a funny movie when it came out. I'm sure I said I picked the wrong day to quit sniffing glue like a zillion times when I was a little kid. Oh my goodness! I bet you our teachers back in the day were so sick of the crap we heard on the movies.
Striker, striker, striker.
Over Macho Grande. I'll never get over Macho Grande.
Pardon me, I speak jive.
Chump don't want to help. Chump don't get a help.
So the thing is, I liked Airplane movies, but I did not like what's that other guy's name? Everybody likes Mel Brooks movies. I hated Mel Brooks movies, but I really liked Airplane.
Oh,
What don't you like about the Mel Brooks?
I
movie?
love Mel Brooks.
Such a racist. Like, I'd never liked his racist shit. The whole time I was like, oh man, I don't like anything about this and everything. I always didn't like it. And he just, that's all he ever does, like straight to racist or kicks in the nuts. Like, just that kind of stuff was like so unsubtle, I guess. Like, it was just so lame. I didn't like it.
You didn't like History of the World?
No, I started hating that one. And then, because also these shows were on HBO. So either, back in the day, at least for me, because I'd be sitting at home watching TV in HBO, it was that same movie over and over and over and over and over and over. So either you turned the TV off, or you liked that movie, or you hated that movie. So there's a couple of movies that I'll never watch again. For like a month, I don't know if you remember back then, like that movie was on HBO, you had it for 2 weeks. So that was the only movie they were going to show for like 2 weeks. So you either watched it a lot, or you were sick of it for 2 weeks. Like, you had to watch it, or you like somebody else would watch it. And in those days, it was like, oh, you've got HBO? We're going to have people over and watch the movie at your house. What's the movie this week? And it was like, damn it, I've seen this movie like 14 times. I don't want to watch this movie again tonight. But you had to. What else are you going to do? Go sit in your room and look at the wall? Like,
That was why I never got HBO or Cinemax or.
I
well, this was
we
not
had
because
the
I didn't
satellite.
have any choice back then.
We
Yeah, it
also
sounds like you had satellite. That was way better. It sounds like
Yeah.
like
we-
back in the old
Yeah.
days of cable, you got one movie a day or something. It was pretty bad.
yeah, we also had the disc players, and you just, I mean,
Yeah,
it was
this was
like your
before that.
VHS stores. You could go over there and rent whatever movies you wanted.
Yeah, that was a whole different. This is before that. This is when I was a little kid and all we had was cable, and there was no such thing as a VHS yet. Like, this was when, like I said, it was Lancelot
these-
Link in the morning.
These weren't VHS; they were the big disc players.
The laser.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
never
it's
saw
really-
anywhere where you could even rent those things around here.
Oh, we had them
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah, you could get discs, but it was sort of the bit of VHS. Like, some people had them, so it's not like every store had them for rent, but you could go to certain gas stations and rent the discs. But I'm
Well, if
talking
I'm
way
not
before that. That was in the
mistaken, they were way before VHS, or I mean, as far as like what we knew in the later in the 80s.
Oh,
Because
you mean they came first? But
yeah,
whatever. I'm talking like before all that. Like, before you had a choice to watch something and all you got was cable. Like, for a while, I can remember growing up when there was no cable yet. I can remember being a little kid anticipating cable being put in, because other kids at school would have cable in their areas. So we knew what it was, and we'd go over there and watch TV. And when you go to somebody's house and you just watch a movie, you think cable is great. And then you get it. And then back then it would be, like I say, like the same movie just over and over and over. All like for 2 weeks, and then you were like, "Oh, this sucks. This isn't good. Like, this is horrible." If it would be like torture. If it was a shitty movie, like an old person movie or a girl movie or whatever, like, it was horrible. And then it was nothing. It was, they literally just ended it and it started again. That little HBO little intro would happen and the movie would start again. So anyway, people would come over and watch these movies, and I'm talking
Yeah.
those era. And then once VHS came out, And once people could watch whatever they wanted, like that was a whole different thing. And that's when cable started saying, "Oh shit, we can't just screw these people into watching one movie for 2 weeks. We have to show like a movie channel. What's that thing called? The TV Guide or whatever. Like we have to have an actual like schedule." I'm talking like probably like the earliest '80s. And it was, remember the days people talk about being able to see scrambled porn? That was just after that, because that was called like Spectravision or On TV or something. Like that had a name, and that was like you could get literally 4 channels, and 2 of them were porn. And if you wiggled the antenna or you turned it between channel like 38 and 39, you could see the porn. Like it was crude cable. And then they came out with the like 32 channels of cable, and that's when HBO was like the king of cable. And I can't remember if there was even a choice if you either got HBO or not, or if it was like HBO or Cinemax. But that's when the days of like there was a dial and you had like 12 channels on cable or something, and 2 of them were like weather, and then it was all the local channels. But I'm talking for maybe 3 or 4 years there, I'm guessing, before the cable started to compete with VHS. At least that's how it was for where I was at. I'm sure different parts of the country it all spread differently in that time. TBS was one of the channels that was worth watching because they actually played a different show every day, like at different times. Like, they were actually making it worth your while to watch TV. That's when they
TBS had the good wrestling, I thought, because they had like the WCW and AWA instead of the WWF. And that's where I saw Lancelot Link was on TBS, like Saturday mornings.
Ours was like after the Farm Report or whatever it was called, when they would tell you about like the price of tomato juice and shit, like the orange juice prices, like that kind of shit would come on in the morning when back in the old days when TV channels would turn on, like, hey, we're, like the little noise stops and they play the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever, or probably the Star Spangled Banner. And then do the Farm Report, and then they would play Lancelot Link, and what's that other one with the mouse that moved? Clutch Cargo, maybe? That's his name? What the cartoons where they didn't move, but the mouths moved?
Yeah.
They played that cartoon. And those were like, I figured cartoons from the old days or something, because they seemed rusty and old. And then they do like the news and then Oprah and shit, and everybody was going to school. We didn't really get cartoons in the morning until, I don't know, 6th grade or something. But that was when cable started saying, screw it, we're going to play cartoons all morning.
Oh, we had cartoons in the morning. Yeah. Because that's where I remember Star Blazers. I'd go over to my friend's house where the bus stop was at his house.
Nice.
So we'd go over, watch Star Blazers, and then pretty much when it was over, the bus would show up.
Which Star Blazers then? Is that G-Force?
No. The one, the ship.
Oh, then I haven't seen that one.
The Space Battleship Yamato is the original Japanese. It's I've got one of my OBS things is the ship that fires the lasers that I've got.
Oh, I figured that was Robotech. It looks like Robotech.
Kind of. That's the Yamato from Star Blazers.
Oh, really? So it is Robotech, or it doesn't have the Robotech ships? Okay.
It's not Robotech. It's before Robotech.
Because did you know? I always thought they just like made that up, like throwing space, Navy ships into space. But in reality, I seen something not too long ago where the Nazis were planning to send ships into space, and they were going to take submarines and throw them up there because they're pressurized, and it made sense. Like, I never thought about it that way. But in the olden days, why wouldn't you throw a submarine into space? It's already made to go underwater, so shove it into space. Just put jets on it.
The guy from Beastmaster is different than the guy from Airwolf.
Yeah, Beastmaster.
Jan Michael Vincent was an Airwolf. I can't remember the Beastmaster guy's name.
No, he just did a few movies, right? Did he ever even do TV?
Ooh, I don't recall him being on TV.
I really liked Beastmaster. It was pretty awesome. The whole concept of Beastmaster was good.
Yeah.
It's I watched that within the last 6 months. I watched that again.
Is
And
it
it's kind of
old? I haven't watched it in forever.
I still like it. It's not a great movie. One thing that I picked up on I never noticed before was the two ferrets. Every time he sends the two ferrets off, he'll make the kissy sounds. And then you'll see him kind of wave his hand, but the ferrets are already gone. They take off and then he waves his hand, but they're not paying attention to him.
Well, it's when he's got his mind meld and he's kind of pointing to him.
No.
That's what I figure. Gerzer, have you ever seen Beastmaster?
No.
Dang it. It's hard to tell you to go watch that one because I think you have to be a little kid to like Beastmaster.
And what's the girl's name?
Oh, yeah. Blondie or something.
Was it like Tanya or
Tanya Roberts. You see
Yeah.
her boobies in it.
Oh yeah.
Imagine you've seen Conan before, right, Gizzard?
Yeah.
So imagine Conan, but not quite as like muscular and dumb, but like a Conan looking guy. But his thing is he's got a hawk or something that flies around
Yeah.
and he can see
Yeah,
through the
he's
hawk
got
eyes.
Hawk,
And
a
then he's
tiger, two ferrets.
Yeah, he's got all these
Yeah.
critters, and he had like when he's the ferrets, he can, or when he sends the ferrets out, he can they're like his hands, like they'll go do stuff for him, and then like the tiger will come and beat people up for him, and then he's got other critters, doesn't he? He has the hawk.
Yeah, like he can relate and see through some of the animals and stuff like that. If I remember right.
Super cool. I don't know. Did he
It's
have
been
a
a
horse?
long time.
Should have had a horse. I don't think he did though.
They probably couldn't. Wasn't in the budget.
Well, I mean,
Rip Torn's in it. He plays the bad guy.
Should have had American Eagle instead of a hawk.
But I remember that being one of my favorite shows for a long time until I got to be probably in high school or something.
Well, am I mistaken, or wasn't the dad of the Waltons? Was he in that?
It was the kind of movie where a bunch of people that you've seen before were in it for sure. It wasn't big budget or nothing. It was probably made by a television studio, right? It kind of seemed like a TV show.
It did. And can't remember the name of the ferrets. It's like Kodos and Kronos, but those are the aliens from The Simpsons. It's something
right
similar
there.
to that.
Modo and Toto?
No.
Now, didn't they come out with like a Beastmaster 2 and 3 or something? Or
There was a TV show.
I was thinking there was some movies though, maybe.
I think there was a
What's the
second
two?
one
And it
with a
wasn't
different
a
guy.
different dude, so it was like wrong. Yeah.
Kodo
I
and
picked up
Podo.
I
That's
picked
the
up
ferret's
his-
name.
Was that thing
Kodo
called?
and Podo.
I picked up his loincloth and put it on. And now I can talk to animals. Like, no, it doesn't quite work.
You can talk to a pug, maybe.
I talk to pugs. He definitely doesn't do what I want. He doesn't tell me what he's looking at. He just does what he wants. Kind of.
Well, gotta work your way up to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
If I
you need
seen
one of those.
through that dog's eyes, I'd see Milo's butt a lot, and I don't think I'd want to see.
Maybe you need one of those cat eye rings or whatever, and then you can see what he sees.
Oh yeah, that's how he did it. He used a little ring. That's right. He was just minding his business, right? And he found that ring, and all of a sudden he could talk to critters.
No, the ring was from the bad guy. That's how the bad guys would see what was going on, because the I don't know if he's a prince, but the kind of the heir who was running around with the black dude, he had a ring that would open up and there's an eyeball in it, and that's how the bad guys would see. It would watch the good guys through that ring, and then eventually they figure out, they see it open up, and he sticks a burning stick in it to burn the
Oh, that's
eye
right.
out.
Ron Wayne's out there having a heyday. He's like, yeah, evidently Ron Wayne watched Beastmasters a lot.
Oh, and you can't remember at what point in the movie that you realize that Beastmaster and Tanya Roberts, their love interests, they're cousins. They're literal kissing cousins.
You mean like
So
in the
they'll-
movie that's a plot point or in real life?
Yeah. It's in the movie, but they don't talk about it. But the way they lay out, because he's the true son of the king, and she's a cousin, but they don't know that they're cousins.
Well, I mean, kind of like Princess Leia and Luke, you know, at the beginning. You thought they were going to be together.
Well, she just kisses Luke to make Han jealous, but she does kiss Luke in a familiar way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Luke gets all satisfied.
Maybe
He sits
some
around
tongue.
thinking about it. So that's the gross part. That's what Luke does. Yeah, not a peck on the cheek.
Which, you know, I can say that's plausible. I had a sister that we lived in the same town, and she worked in the business behind the business I worked at, and we didn't know each other. She was a half sister that we found out later on when we met each other.
Dang, good thing we never hooked up.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, if something like that would ever happen, like, would both people, like, stop and, like, this just don't feel right? I don't know.
Depends on what part of Arkansas you're from, I suppose.
So what was the last movie that you guys watched?
Oh man, you guys are gonna be like, this is terrible, but Trailer Park Boys.
Wolf of Wall Street for me.
I think I probably watched Wolf of Wall Street this year, like not too long ago, because I was like looking. I forgot somebody in it. I was watching the movies that they had made, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen this one in a while. I don't like it as much as other people. I think I like it about a 6 or 7 out of 10. Like I like it, but it's not my favorite movie or anything.
Mr. Bob said The Pit and the Pendulum, and Ron Wayne said Condor Man.
What? I haven't seen either of those. I don't think.
I haven't seen Condor Man since the 80s, probably when it came out.
Man. Is that a superhero movie?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, the newest one I watched before that one was, it's a newer Kevin Hart movie where he's a thief. Can't think of the name of it. But it's actually pretty good.
He's like running a bunch. He's like the experienced thief, and the other
Yeah, he's like the smart one of the thief or whatever, and they pull some big heist, and it's actually pretty good.
It's not really a comedy; it's more of just a
No.
show, and it's like it's lighthearted, but it's not like there's jokes or anything, and there's no laugh track or anything. Yeah, I thought it was all right. I don't love
What's it
Kevin
called?
Hart. I don't hate him
Like
or nothing.
heist or something. I forget, but
I can look it up here in a minute. I'm looking for Condor Man. All I found is Operation Condor and Condor.
Larry said Top Gun.
The new one?
I don't know. I was guessing the original since he didn't say Maverick.
Oh yeah.
Both
Imagine
are good.
Condor Man in one word, maybe.
I mean, I think I can honestly say that that's one of the movies that the second one is fairly close as good as the first one. And a lot of times, you can't say that about movies, but I just like the timing, and all that. I thought it was a pretty good second movie.
Which Top Gun?
Yeah.
No,
I
you're talking
didn't.
about Maverick. You're talking about Maverick.
I wouldn't put them that close. I did like Maverick. You know, it was a fun movie. It was somewhat of a stretch on what happens, and the son of Goose is not Goose.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But I just like the timing with Val Kilmer. I mean,
I thought they did a good job the way they treated his
Yeah.
character and dealt with his cancer, his real life cancer.
And created a second movie after so much time. There's something to that, They did. I think they didn't have to. Not very many movies get a chance to make a sequel that's in real time shifted or whatever that's called, like a generation later almost. So I thought that was kind of neat. So what was the name of that movie I was telling you about you didn't like?
The Primitives?
Okay, so Ron Wayne, check out The Primitives if you like cheesy movies, because I believe that one was designed to act cheesy. You're saying it didn't pay off, you didn't like it, so I don't know. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but if he likes cheesy stuff, he might like that one. I found Condor Man. I'll watch it later. It's from 1981. Last one I seen. Go ahead.
Ron Wayne ought to watch Kentucky Fried Movie since it's about his state.
Oh, have you seen that? That's an awesome movie. Holy shit, that's a good movie.
The best part of that is the fistful of yen.
Mm-hmm.
It is, but it's also long. Like, I think my favorite part is the cow shit in here, because I played that on the show a million times. Because that's like consumable. When the old ladies come into the house, she's like, "Oh, smelling or cooking fish again? Like, oh, did you get a new dog? Like cow shit in here."
And although today the what was Adventure Man, the little nerdy guy in the jumpsuit.
Yeah, I didn't like that part of it.
I laughed.
That was the Mel Brooks type of stuff.
Yeah.
But they did put a lot of that crap in there. And they were making, I don't know if that was making fun of something that I don't know about, because they were making fun of some stuff that, like, I wasn't aware of, like the TV shows and stuff they were making fun of in that movie. Maybe it's Canadian or something. Because I don't think that
Thrill Seekers. That's it. Yeah.
That wasn't supposed to be Evil Knievel, was it? That was somebody else that they're making fun of.
I don't know what there's a parody of, but dude's name was Rex Kramer, the character anyway.
There's a lot of good stuff in that movie. But even if you can, because Fistful of Yen is like 10 to 15 minutes long or something of it. It's like 20 minutes. I remember taking it out of there one time back in the day. And it was a big chunk. But that's because there's so many pieces of that. Like, you got to watch a lot of Bruce Lee movies to get it all. But there's so many pieces of that.
That's when I recorded Kentucky Fried Movie. That's the only part I recorded. Was Fistful of Yen.
Yeah. The rest of it's almost like a separate movie. Like, I don't know where they came up with all of that script or whatever, but they're definitely drinking or something.
Larry said Lethal Weapon was the last movie I watched that I felt the sequel almost as good as the first. Mr. Bob said before The Pit and the Pendulum, we watched Murder on the Diamond, a 30s Robert Montgomery movie about St. Louis Cardinals being menaced by gamblers. And Ron Wayne's asking, wasn't Rex Kramer the guy in Airplane?
I gotta ask G-Wubs.
Yes, it was. Matter of fact.
Have you, G-Wubs, have you ever watched the Peaky Blinders?
I feel like I have, but I'd have to look.
2013. If you've not, it is well worth watching. Now it is got like, I don't know, 5 or 6 seasons to it. It's not an actual movie, but I feel that you'd probably like that.
How do you spell it? Peeky?
Peaky Blinders. Blinder. Yes.
For some reason, I feel like I've heard that before, and it's this dude, huh?
I've seen a lot of clips on YouTube from it. I've never watched the actual episodes.
It's actually real. I thought it was really good. A friend of mine that I trade stocks with, he's actually from London, and he's a big Tom Hardy fan. And he's telling me about it. He goes, "You ever watch Peaky Blinders?" And I'm like, "Never heard of it." And so we looked it up on Netflix or whatever, and it was on there. And me and my wife both really enjoyed it. It was kind of like the gangster days, you know. And
It's in England, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in London. Yeah.
So there's 6 seasons of it, so definitely a lot to watch. I don't think I've seen it. I don't remember watching 6 seasons.
Yeah,
of it, but
like I think you would remember if you watched it. And I mean, yeah, it's just it's a if you like kind of like gangster type movies, you know, it's a very good one to watch.
Larry said he loves Peaky Blinders.
I'll check it out.
Most everybody I know that's watched it has really liked it. Except for it's Peaky instead of Pinky.
Is that somebody's name, or is that a?
That's the name of the gang.
Yeah, they're gang, and you know that hat like Viejo wears. You know, we kind of call them the old man hat that's folded down in the front,
Like a tam.
Yeah. Well, they keep
that.
Yeah, they keep razor blades in the back of theirs or in the front or something, and like. Yeah, it's I don't know. You just gotta watch. I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, I think for most people, everybody would like it. I mean, it's not like it's real gory or nothing, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good show.
I just got done. What the heck was I watching? I was watching something that took forever. So I just got done watching a bunch of series of stuff. So I've been watching, I've been catching up on a bunch of my interviews and stuff. Well, I was watching that one show. What the hell show was I just watching? Oh, yeah, that Survivors or whatever from England. Yeah. So I just got done watching like however many episodes or seasons, I should say, of that. And those were hardcore. Like each one of those episodes is like 45 minutes or an hour long. So it took a while. So I think I haven't been watching TV, but I'll get into it. So especially once I get a project or something I'm working on, I'm going to be working on the books here in a bit. So I'll check it out. I mean, if I like it, if I don't like it, obviously I won't watch it. But if I like it, I mean, damn, 6 seasons, that's a lot of stuff to watch. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Tom Hardy, like he's been in different movies and stuff, so he's a pretty popular like England type actor.
Isn't he the guy from Spawn? Not Spawn. The Spider-Man thing with the alien. Is that Spider-Man?
I'm not for sure.
Oh yeah, he was Venom.
Venom. I just watched Venom again the other day. It's every time I do like a search of sci-fi most popular, Venom's up there. And I'm like, why do people like this movie? And I watched it before, so I watched it maybe a week ago. And still can't figure out why people like that movie so much. It's not a
So
bad
I just
movie, but it's a good movie.
Google it. He is on Venom, Mad Max, Fury Road,
Oh shit! I gotta watch that again. I haven't watched that one in a while.
Warrior.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either. But I just watched the new Mad Max, so I'm easier.
Oh, when I was getting my list together for the last bracket, I found that I had already put together a list for a different bracket at some point that I
for
forgot
cars.
about.
Yeah, I remember something about cars.
No, best sequel.
Oh, interesting. Just across the board, comedies and sci-fi and musicals, all in the same thing.
I don't remember what was on it, but I found, I had a Word document already saved. That I do not remember making that list.
I think that one would be pretty good because it's super subjective, right? Like it's up
Yeah.
to. So that would be an interesting thing to hear people's opinions on stuff.
So I figured next time we fire up the old bracket, we'll probably do the sequels.
So the last movie I seen was, I think, unless I missed forgetting watching something. So I watch a lot of, I leave movies running all the time, but was the Terracotta Warriors of China, something like that. It's like that Terracotta Army that
Yeah.
the Qin Dynasty guy came up with. I don't know if I talked about it in here or not. I know I think I talked about it with Tony, but it was pretty good. I mean, I've heard of that terracotta. You know what I'm talking about? They found those terracotta warriors back in the day. It's
Yeah, there's also they never dug it up. I got a daddy long legs just came down in front of me.
Cool.
There's also a buried map, and it with rivers and everything, but the rivers are made out of mercury. And they never dug it up, but they tested for the mercury, and they found there is elevated mercury. So they do believe that it's there. They just have never had
in that same temple area or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but it's like 90 square kilometers. It's massive, and the terracotta dudes were, acres and acres of them, 8,000 or 3,000 of them. So anyway, that was super neat because I remember hearing about them, but now, however many years later, after they've discovered more stuff, they figured out the story essentially. And I never paid attention to know that they call it China because of the Qin Dynasty, and he's the guy that united the 5 regions of China together for the first time ever 2,000 years ago. And that's why they have a national loyalty that's 2,000 years old that we don't even understand. Barely being 200 years old. How different do you think it would be if we grew up in a country that was 2,000 years old instead of a country that, I mean, it's pretty awesome, but we're 200 years old?
I've kind of wondered about that too. Simple stuff like if you watch Antique Roadshow, the ones from England and all their neat old stuff.
Yeah, like here's Grandpa's thing that's 1,300 years old.
Yeah. But also, just the if you look at the way England developed, yes, it's a different system, blah 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 blah, blah but they've been around for a lot longer, so their progression is, I don't want to say farther along, but they hit different steps before we did because they existed before we did. It's stuff I've thought about in the past. Even like with slavery, they ended slavery before we did, but they were dealt with all that before we did.
In a whole different way, like such a different way. And they've had emperors that just fucking destroy people, just kill the shit out of people. Like, you know what I mean? Like nothing we've done is anywhere near. Well, I mean, we've done some bad shit as a country, for sure, but not 2,000 years worth of bad shit. Millions of people type of shit.
Yeah, they definitely come up with the first drugs.
I don't know about that. Like opium and stuff.
Yeah,
But
there's way.
yeah, they
before.
didn't come up with it, but they pushed it. That's the whole Boxer Rebellion. That's what all that was. There was a couple rebellions that England was selling opium, and China said, "We don't want you to sell opium," and England said, "We're going to sell opium." So they had a rebellion over it and lost, and England continued selling opium.
Well, we're not just selling opium, but like supporting the illicit manufacture of opium in China, right? It's not like they took opium to England and said we're just going to make it over here. They kept supporting bad guys in China making opium, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the issue. I mean, like they were like, we don't care what you do, but quit supporting our people over here making opium. We're trying to tell them to make something else. I guess I could look though, because I've watched way more than just that movie for sure. There's been a bunch of new ones come out recently.
Yeah, they Ron and Hillbilly are talking about the hat. There's a
That's what it's called, I guess.
Well, it says it's a nickname for the flat caps that was used a lot for like newsboys and stuff like that. And but yeah, Peaky. So now the whole show makes sense because they carried razor blades sewn into their hats. Now Peaky Blinders, I literally just now realized that.
there's a channel on YouTube that I watched, Hat Historian, and that's all he does is the history of hats. And he's talked about those before, the flat cap, and I don't know.
Like there was a time when hats were critical, like super important, right? Showed you your status and like everybody wore a hat type of shit.
So if you're curious about hats, it's an interesting channel, Hat Historian. He covers everything, military, civilian style hats. And we'll kind of talk how one hat led to another hat.
Did he talk about male and female both?
What's that?
Male and female hats both, or?
I've only seen him talk pretty much their male hats that he's.
Girl hats would be a whole nother thing because
it probably would be.
The beaver trade was all just girl hats, right? And then like feathers, like there's whole birds that are extinct because of girls' hats. Like dudes never gave a shit about having a feather in their hat, but girls are like, fuck that bird. I want this hat.
Give them the bird.
Excuse me, Gizzard. Sorry about that.
Yeah, hats. I mean, I know Grandpa, he was serious about his hats.
I never had anybody in my family, but I definitely have seen enough to know that, like I say, there was a time when hats were a super big deal.
And I don't know about anybody else, but my grandpa's hat was always cocked to the side a little bit. You know, he was a World War II vet, and his hat was never straight on his head.
I only wear ball caps. I don't think I look good in any other style hat.
I like booty caps because I'm in Arizona and I don't want stuff I don't want like cancer all over my neck and my ears and everything. So I like having the brim. I would wear a big wicker hat. I'm almost thinking about getting one of them straw hats.
I do have a boonie that's over there on the wall that I would wear fishing.
Yeah, fishing is good too. They're good for fishing, I should say, because you're sitting on top of a giant mirror the whole time you're out there.
And it's got.
do you wear?
I'll go grab it.
I'll have to. Maybe I go grab mine, but there's a hat that it'll button on the left or right, but I always leave mine down. It's called like a cool hat. I like it. It's very lightweight.
Oh, I got lots of those.
It helps keep your head cool. And I absolutely love it. I wear it mowing the yard, all kinds of stuff.
You talking like it's got gel in it, you put it in the refrigerator type of thing?
No, it don't go in the refrigerator. It's just vented and it keeps the sun off your face and the back of your neck, and it just honestly the roots are so lightweight that you don't feel them on top of your head, but the whatever.
Yeah,
like a
I can show
synthetic
you one.
wicker, like a synthetic wicker, or like a modern version of a wicker hat, where it's real lightweight.
That's my boonie hat, and it's got the necklace my son made when he was a kid
Oh, that's
at camp.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And so I had it for luck.
Yeah,
but it's a great for fishing. The woods is out there.
End of the rope. What is this?
2023,
when a family mysteriously disappears from the town of Schaefer, North Dakota, suspicion lands on a psychopathic farmhand, based on a true story. End of the Rope, 2023. I just found that one. I haven't seen it. It's like some kind of a modern Western or something. Okay, so I've got a list of them now that I've seen. So Bratz, which is the Brat Pack movie. One of the dudes from the Brat Pack did a movie right now about, the Brat Pack from the 1980s. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, that's a documentary about the Brat Pack. And then there's another documentary. There's another documentary about Cyndi Lauper that just came out on MTV. That one's pretty good. I like Cyndi Lauper. It was interesting to hear about her. I never paid attention to her at all. I just liked her songs. So that was interesting to hear the origin story of all of them. Then there's a movie called The Real Red Tails. The Red Tails, the Talladega flyers from World War II. The guys that escorted the bombers and shit and got like a super good reputation because they essentially lost like 4 bombers or something in all of World War II. Where everybody else was losing like a good chunk of like 20% of their bombers on every run. Anyway, these guys were trying to, there was like the double victory. They were trying to kill racism in the United States and fascism in Europe. So their goal was to excel at being flyers for the United States to help challenge racism back in the day. Right. So in order to do that, to achieve that, they had to train hard, and a bunch of them died during training, and they trained over, it wasn't Michigan, like Lake Erie or something, at one of the Great Lakes. So it might have been in Ohio. I don't remember that part of it. It wasn't Lake Michigan though. But anyway, one of the Great Lakes, was just like France, and that's where they were doing a lot of their bombing missions. So they were training in over Lake Erie, I guess. I think it's Lake Erie. It might be Lake Huron. I don't remember that detail. But they lost a guy who crashed, and so that's the story, right? The Red Tails existed, and they trained, and a bunch of them died. Like 14 of them died because they were training so hard. And some guys were minding their business fishing. Literally, I think it was 80 years to the day that the plane went down, and they're out there scuba diving in this lake. And
have a good night, Ron.
It's a dad and his son, and the son is looking down and goes, "Hey, Dad, there's an airplane underneath of us." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." He's like, "No, seriously, there's an airplane underneath of us." And they go down there and they brush the dirt off of it, and they see that it's a warplane and everything. And they come back up and they do the research, and they find out that they found the plane 80 years to the day that it crashed. Anyway, so it's a couple of years later that they make this documentary, and it's explaining the Red Tails and their history, like the unit and all that, and the double victory campaign and all that. But then it's also, what's that called? When you pull a plane out of the water and like put it in the museum, they're like, what's that called? Like preserving it or whatever the words are.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a pretty cool movie. And then at the end, you know, they get a good chunk of the plane out of the water, and they're able to do the forensics or whatever it's called and discover why it crashed. I won't ruin it, but super. It's not just a documentary. In other words, it's like essentially a documentary of the unit and their achievements. And what's cool is they interview some of the dudes, like some of the guys are still kicking, and they interview some of them. And then it's also whatever you'd call like a mystery of the plane and discovery of like uncovering its mystery and why it crashed, and essentially talking about the planes themselves, which were pretty cool. They had like a big 30 millimeter cannon right in the middle of the propeller, and then they had 50 calibers that shot with those timers through the propellers, and then they had 50 calibers on each wing. So they had 4 50 calibers and a 30 caliber, and they were tasked with taking out anti-aircraft shit across the channel as the bombers went across. And they were like, sure, we'll do that and tag along with the bombers. And instead of coming back as soon as we feel like it, we'll just stay with the bombers the whole time they're out there, because their planes had enough gas to do it. And like I say, then they ended up having like a massively stellar reputation throughout the war, because they hardly ever lost any bombers. Essentially, all the other fighters, I guess, would just take off after the Germans and get killed and let the bombers get killed, because they were all trying to be aces. And these guys would just stick with the bombers and keep the Germans off. And they ended up just slaughtering Germans doing that. So that was one. And then seen one called Movie Pass. That's the whole story of Movie Pass. Do you remember that? Where you would get a card and watch movies for free. I never had it, but it was a super interesting. Essentially, the people at Movie Pass got screwed over by this investor guy who ruined the company and kind of killed it. But it was a pretty neat documentary. You feel like documentaries. Then Atlas. We talk about that one. Jennifer Lopez. She's in a robot, like a mech suit, except it's an AI mech suit that's like a spaceship that she's in. It's brand new.
I think I've heard you talk about it, and the Jennifer Lopez part turned me off.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not great, but it's like a medium movie. I would give it a 7 maybe.
The last movie I watched was I rewatched My Name Is Nobody. I
love it.
Terrence Hill and Henry Fonda Western.
Oh yeah. My favorite movies is that My Name Is Nobody, They Call Me Eternity, and Eternity Is Still My Name. We're actually talking about that on my channel earlier on my show. I mean, I got Bubba hooked on them. And actually, Terrence Hill and the brother, they do a lot. They got a lot of movies after those together.
He also did a Django. He was Django.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's done, like, he was a cop. He did a cop movie. Can't remember
really?
the
I don't
name
know
of
if I've
it.
seen him in stuff besides Westerns. Maybe I haven't. I just don't recognize him, or I didn't realize it.
Him and his brother. I can't think of his brother's name right now on Eternity movies, but they go on and do a lot of other movies. But G-Webs, Missions hat, you can get it on Amazon, so you can do a review. Buy one of these, and especially where you live. Oh my goodness, it'll
Well, it
change
looks
your
like
life.
a booty gap or whatever. I thought you were going to be one of those like mesh materials or whatever.
No, this one it's lighter than like the ball caps, the summer ball caps. And then like Gary's, this also snaps on either side. You know, you can snap it up like Gary.
I don't want nothing Gary's got because he's already done getting an Amazon review of it. I want stuff that's
Now, this one's the company's called Mission, and they make several different hats. But
This came from Walmart.
oh snap! Then I am getting that one.
But I think they're under $20, but they're well worth it, man.
I think mine's from Amazon. I got mine, but I got this
Mine are
12, 13 years ago.
I have boonie caps that I bought it the first year that multicam was built into products. We got them because you're not allowed to buy stuff at SHOT Show, but stuff like hats and shit. If you know somebody, you can sometimes do that. So the first time multicam came out, I'm pretty sure it was 2008. I bought 2 boonie caps, and I'm still wearing those. So they have like sentimental meaning to me or whatever.
Swiss
Tech is what this is.
But if I get a new one, I'm thinking like
I probably can't see
wicker, like a wicker,
New Hatton.
a straw hat. Or whatever. Yeah, mine is just probably what's the company that makes military uniforms? True Spec or something. Like mine is just that company. I just bought it off from it.
Nice big vents on the sides.
Did you put the snaps on there, or they were there?
Nope, they were there.
So it's interesting. Like Gizzards' brim looks bigger than mine, and yours looks smaller than mine. So mine's somewhere between brim sizes between y'all's.
Yeah, I'm not.
And mine doesn't have the snaps because the military wants to know the snaps. And then we've got the shotgun looking things around the thing for putting vegetation on. I don't know if the civilian ones put those on, like where you got the beads.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll put those on there so you can put flies when you're fishing.
Yeah.
Kind of depends if they make it for fishing or if they make it for gardening or if they make it for whatever.
These are cool because you can totally crush them.
Yeah, exactly.
Not gonna hurt them.
Exactly. Not at all.
M. Gabriel is
throw them in the wash machine and wash them. Like a lot of hats get destroyed. Throw them in the wash machine. Those get a little softer, but you can throw them in the wash machine. Like say I've had mine for however many dozen years almost.
And Aussies out there. Susquehanna hats. Is that a Susquehanna hat?
What is that from?
That's from I just blanked on them. The comedy duo. Who's on First?
Oh, Abbott and Costello?
Yeah, it's Abbott and Costello. It's one of their
nice
things. Everybody hates the Susquehanna hat company that he runs into. They keep smashing his hat.
Oh, it's like, is that a Susquehanna hat? And then they smash it?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that.
Mr. Bob said the Stooges did it too.
That was an era in time too, before all that other stuff that we talked about when the Three Stooges and shit was on. Like I can remember a time when that kind of stuff was on before school. I think they quit doing that because we'd all be like smashing each other and stuff before school when we started watching this Three Stooges right before school. Like slowly I turned inch by inch, step by step. That has to be referring to something that I have no idea. But
that's from the Stooges.
I know, but I mean, like they were referring to something earlier, right? Like that's what I'm guessing, unless they came up with that out of nowhere. But I figured that was some play or some Shakespeare or something.
G Webs, I just sent you one of these hats.
Oh, right on. Thanks. What I like, at least out here, I don't know if it helps with you guys. Probably not in Missouri. I've spent time there, but out here, it might work for I don't know how dry it is for gizzard. But anyway, I can shove one of them hats under the hose, get them all wet, and wear it around, and it'll just evaporate, over time. And that's not even a problem. Like it just feels really good for a while, and then by the time you remember that you had it wet, it's dry. It dries out pretty quick.
When I was working on the road, we had to wear hard hats all the time, and we had a safety instructor because at this particular time in Florida, we were working along the railroad, and they had to wear hard hats. And anyway, this guy was from India, and they were talking, that day, they go every morning. We have to have a safety meeting. They always have a couple tips or whatever. But that guy, anyway, they were talking about, not getting too hot and dehydrating and stuff. And he told us that day, I don't know any truth of this other than what he told us. He said the reason, in the deserts and stuff or whatever in the hot regions, you see like headwear on men and stuff. He said because they take towels or whatever, and you dip them in the water, you wrap them around your head, you put your headdress on and all that. So what he told us, he said take a handkerchief, washcloth, whatever, with it and stick it on top of your head and put your hard hat on. And then by the time that dries out, do it again, because with our job, we always had water, on the job site. And my goodness, it felt like air conditioning underneath that hard hat to have a wet wash rag or handkerchief or whatever on top of your head. It really helped.
Yep, right. And then they figured out maybe in the 2000s, maybe the 90s. I don't know. Out here, maybe they figured it out sooner. But you could put like gel, like either like a tube of gel or like a sheet of gel into a bandana or something. And then you soak that. And then sometimes they'll put those in the freezer. And then every time you dip that, it's like essentially a massive sponge, that holds a lot of that water.
And sunscreen, man. If you work outside, even if you're not worried about skin cancer, you get you some high sunscreen, 50, whatever, highest you can buy. You put that on your face, back of your neck, and all that, and it literally repels the sun from your area, your arms, or whatever, and you can instantly feel coolness just because of that, reflection back off of the sun or whatever it does.
Yeah, that's literally what it's doing. Is it's creating a bunch of little tiny mirrors. That silicon or whatever zinc oxide or whatever is like a little bunch of mirrors. Mm-hmm. My roof is essentially tar paper. Whatever they call that, asphalt paper type of crap. It's nothing fancy because it doesn't rain that much here. But when I go up there and paint it white with real thick paint that you buy for the roofs, out here it's just essentially like big thick rubber paint. It'll wear off after a while, like it'll disintegrate or dry out or whatever happens, and the roof starts getting kind of gray, and then it'll crack, and then all the tar paper from underneath starts showing. It's kind of dark, right? So go up there and paint it, and it's a drastic difference just looking at it. You can definitely tell where you've painted or whatever, but the main thing is, like when it's 107 or something here, the house will get up to 100 when the roof is gray, but you go up there and paint the roof white, and the house will stay 80. Like just from the bouncing the heat off, right? Like literally just a thing of paint, that's all. But just bouncing that much sun off versus absorbing it makes a big difference. So I imagine that's the same up north. It's just people don't, like 10 degrees ain't that big a thing when you're only talking about 80 degrees or 100 degrees, I guess.
When we re-roofed our house, I wanted to get a lighter color shingle for that reason, but they were out of what I wanted, so we ended up just getting black.
I just figure I see a lot of black roofs, dark colored roofs. I figure people care more about what their roof looks like than that kind of thing up north. It's not this big a deal. Plus, you got attics, and you can insulate your attic. Who cares how hot your roof is getting? You can insulate your attic pretty good.
Yeah, that's unless you got to go up and do anything in the attic in the summer. Oh my God.
Miserable.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember going to attics when it was like that puffed rice kitty litter shit. That's like, it just static clings to you. And have you ever dealt with that kind of insulation? It's like blowing in or something. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Probably got cancer from it too.
And your attic's got to be vented good to let that heat out. Goodness.
I can remember though, whenever I first had a house with an attic, when we moved in or whatever, I was up there constantly. And we had a crawl space, because to me that was like nobody cared about those. That was essentially like, remember the Brady Bunch, how Greg had his room in the attic? I was like, I got my room in the attic. Except it was intolerable. There's no way you could ever sleep up there or nothing, but I'd still go up there. It was like having my free fort, that nobody else would go up.
It's really nice to have because then it makes running wires. So if you're adding outlets or adding lights,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it makes it a lot easier.
My friend's got a bit of that kind of a situation, not quite like back east or whatever, but he had to run his cable, and it was a million times easier than I could ever run cable. I have just a flat roof.
Our old house had vaulted ceilings, so you don't have an attic, and I got lucky when I fished the wire through the ceiling that I put in 4 can lights in the living room, and I ran the fish tape through, and lucky it kind of went up and then bent down and happened to hit the holes first shot. So I didn't have to spend all day trying to get a wire over there.
Oh yeah.
There you see long sleeve white t-shirts. Now it's the fluorescent yellow. You get a fluorescent yellow, fluorescent orange long sleeve t-shirt, and I think that bounces it off even better than white.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of roofers, they have probably a cotton t-shirt on, and then a long sleeve on top of that. And
oh yeah, long sleeve shirts are the shit. I just got one last year that's for fishing, and it's made out of I don't even know what it is. It's probably spandex or something like 100% polyester. I just don't know what the material's called, but it's super lightweight, super stretchy. But I got it in 2 sizes too big, so it's not tight. It's just loose, right? So it doesn't bind or nothing, and it's super soft and it's super lightweight. You could probably, and it's like a hoodie. It's like you put it on. It's a long sleeve t-shirt with a hood. But for fishing, it would be awesome. I haven't been fishing with it, but when like I say, you're sitting on a mirror, so if you're out there,
I don't like long sleeve shirts. I
don't either, but this thing is great because it's so light.
I've got some, but I would only wear them if I was riding in cold weather. But other than that, I don't like my forearms covered.
yeah,
I don't either. But like I say, for working outside or fishing, I would do, because I don't want to get one burned on my forearms and worry about that much just sun on my arms.
My golly, the old folks when I was growing up, they truly believed in wearing long sleeve shirts all the time. They said it actually kept them cooler because it kept the sun off their arms.
Well, that, and you sweat on your arms or wherever, and so you got moisture there, and I don't know, the way it's explained to me, you kind of, it's like there's a temperature and a vapor barrier, between your shirt, long sleeve shirt, and your skin. And I mean, I could see that because, outside working in a t-shirt and you're sweating and stuff, and you kind of pull your shirt up out a little bit, and a little air gets that, basically sweat, and it feels nice and cool, So I guess I could see that.
I'm liking them more than I'm getting older too. My arms are getting all dried out. Before they were less of an issue, but you look at your forearms and you're like, oh man, they're getting all dried out. So I'm not gonna.
My wife one year bought me this she said it was, I don't know, it's been a few years back. She goes, "Oh, this is really cool. A lot of people wear these. They're called swim t-shirts, like for swimming." I put that dude on. We got in the pool. I like to never got that thing off. It's like just like wet and it stuck to your body, and it was like an Under Armour type deal. And I'm
But
like,
it's
"Gee, man,
be a
I'm
sun
gonna
protection.
I guess I don't know, but I didn't like it at all. I mean, it just like stuck to you everywhere. And I mean, I guess maybe some people like them. I don't know, but I assume it's for, sun protection or whatever. But
I got some things to review the other day that are like sleeves without a t-shirt. You probably wouldn't want those, huh?
oh yeah,
I've never worn them, but I've got a set of 4 now. But
I've seen those.
like long gloves.
I've seen people. I don't know if they were reviews or people talking about them, especially like doing landscape work and stuff to protect their arms.
Where you're gonna get all scraped up. Like I was
Yeah.
just doing something, pulling some vines, and my arms got all scraped up. And when you get old, like you get a scrape and you start bleeding from it. Like back in the day, you'd get a scrape and it might get red, but it'd never bleed. Now I bleed on everything all the time, so I'd rather just have something like that on.
So did
What's
you get
crazy
the
is
one?
they look like they look like a little kid's sock or something. You put them on and they just keep stretching. Like I don't even, my big fat arm, like they're not even close to being stretched out. Like they can, I don't know what the word is.
Did you get the one that makes you look like you got a tattoo sleeve?
No, they probably make those though.
They
just
have them. Yeah.
pink and blue and black and white, I think, or something.
Yeah.
No, I've seen those, yeah. But the thing is, I don't like going out and doing work when it's hot out. I'd rather, especially when it's 100-something degrees, it's dangerous to do work when it's hot out. So I have them mainly so when I'm rooting around and pulling weeds and stuff, I can use them as an abrasion thing, more than a sun thing. But I don't know if I'll remember to wear them. I've never worn anything like that before. They only gave them to me to review, so it's not like I ordered them. And unless I'd have to take them and put them in my gloves or something, maybe, so that I remembered that I have them and then try them. But because we also have like a lot of burrs and like a lot of those like just grasses and stuff that have the little razor things on them because they want to attach the seed to like a horse's hoofs or something. So I have a lot of this stuff that doesn't necessarily poke you, but it'll stick into your clothing. So I don't really know if I'd want to have, unless the stuff was really sleek, because it is stretchy, but I don't know how sleek it is. Like if it'll catch all those things, the last thing I want is a bunch of burrs all up and I want 4 arms, rubbing on me.
Well, I have a few pairs of them, and what we use them for is we go riding 4-wheelers in the summer or in the winter, and stuff, and side by sides and all that. Well, if you wear like coveralls, insulated coveralls, you try to put a flannel on and you got to pull like your sleeves, through the arms of your jacket or your coveralls. It's kind of uncomfortable. So if you just throw on a t-shirt, which is most comfortable, your arms do get a little cool, have them up on the handlebars or whatever. So you can put those on your arms with a t-shirt and then put your coveralls on. You don't have to worry about like having to pull sleeves up and everything. So that's the main reason I bought mine.
Yeah, there'd probably be another layer for the winter too. I never thought about that. And then I've got, did you get a Thermajohn?
Yeah.
Then I had no idea. I thought they were just like old-fashioned long underwear, but they're essentially like those arm things, but thicker. They're almost like
fleece. It's more of a spandex type thing. It's not the heavy weave like the old long johns were.
So if I had,
they're just as warm though.
Yeah, probably warmer, right? Like I haven't. I took it off immediately because it was hot as shit here. I didn't want to have that thing on any longer than I needed to. But I'm saying those arm things made out of that material would probably be great in the winter.
Mr. G Webs, is there anything you'd like to plug?
I'm going to plug this stop action movie that's amazing. That was about aliens that come down and some kind of triangle of light. And yeah, no, I have nothing to plug. Thanks for hosting.
Well, thanks for being here. How about you, Gary? Giz or Gary?
Well, let's see. On my channel, I've got a couple nice to review. I've got the members only chat for my members each Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central. Foul Territory each Friday at 9 p.m. Central. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for having me.
Is there some kind of jacket that we could get as a member? Like as
A
being
members only, a
only
members
members
only
could get
jacket.
that jacket?
I think you have to be one of the higher tiered members to get the jacket. Hillbilly, how about you? Anything you want to plug? What you got coming up?
Yeah, actually, I believe this week I got videos coming out with the Black Aces bullpup shotgun, 12 gauge semi-automatic shotgun, and we're putting a scope on that for two reasons. Company wanted to see what type of recoil their scope could take, so we'll be shooting some slugs through that and stuff. And it's a 3x9 variable, and so if it'll handle the recoil and stuff for some of these states that have straight wall jacket for deer hunting and stuff, that a lot of those guys use actual, slug 12 gauge slug shotguns to deer hunt with. So if this scope works good and can take the recoil, it'd be probably a nice addition to some shotguns out there that they use for actual deer hunting, shooting, 50 yards plus. So we're going to be checking that out and doing a review on the scope and the gun. And then we have the Bull Barrel BCA 22 long rifle that's going to be showing up again, and we're going to be stretching it out to longer distances and see how it holds up. So that, and then we got Guns Bearing Therapy on Saturday night, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. So we'd love to have you. Anybody that like swing by, we just try to have a good time. So thanks a lot for having me, Foss. I really appreciate it, brother.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate everybody that was out in the live chat, chatting her up. And if you watch us in replay, leave a comment. Anything we talked about, agree with, disagree with. I read all the comments, and they are always appreciated. And again, coming up here in a couple weeks, once the mouse party hits 100, then we'll do a giveaway. And I'll work out the details. Hopefully, work them out by next Wednesday, the next mouse party, so I can tell everybody exactly what's going on. And again, thank you to everybody who watches my stuff. I can't say how much I appreciate it, and I'm amazed that people watch any of my stuff.
You got a great channel, buddy.
Well, thank you. And a big thank you to George for showing up, for making an appearance.
Yeah, he just comes in late for the comments.
So I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.
You still here? It's over. Go home.